Uncharted Leadership, I think, gives an opportunity first for you to see that whatever challenges you are facing, you are not alone. These adaptive challenges happen all the time, and I think as leaders we feel like we need to have the solutions and know the answers all the time. And this book actually, I think, helps us realize there are a lot of challenges and opportunities out there where there aren't clear answers, and we need to really step back and think and work together, think through the different principles, not just a set list of to-dos or steps to solve a problem. I think it helps us think through, it's designed to help us and you as leaders think through what are your values, your understanding of leadership, things in your context. Maybe you can read a situation and go, man, we are ripe for that same problem in our situation if we don't do these different things. The cases are all very unique, and but the principles in a lot of times are very familiar, and the kind of the critical core problems are familiar and common to all of us as ministry leaders. And so by reading these cases that are unique but with some similarities to a lot of the situations we face in everyday ministry leadership in real life, we can look at them and think through, how would I do this? How can I grow from learning from somebody else's situation? Uncharted Leadership is unique in that it's a leadership case study book specifically for ministry leaders. It's not just a book of principles or practices and specific how-tos, but it talks about leadership and adaptive leadership in particular in the context of real-life case studies. There's 20 case studies from a variety of ministry contexts, and as a reader you can look at it and read through the cases and go, what are the different perspectives here? How would I handle these situations that are very challenging situations, sometimes depending on what perspective you take in the story? And so in that way it just makes it unique because you're able to integrate the different principles and learning and thinking about leadership through the lens of these practical case studies. Uncharted Leadership is written ultimately for learning leaders, and there's a lot of places that the book can be used. It's great for a classroom in college or seminary, graduate school, leadership classes, ministry leadership, kind of advanced ministry leadership. It's great for mastermind groups or like network learning communities. It's great for use by a staff at a church or a ministry organization. Not all the situations are churches. Some of them are higher education, parachurch organizations, a variety of different contexts and situations. And so it's meant for use by any type of learning leader individually, or actually ideally in groups where you can discuss and reflect together, staff teams applying these types of things and taking learning to your own context. Adaptive leadership is a concept, a term that talks about leadership where there's not easy answers. It's opposed to technical leadership, technical tasks or technical challenges, where there is kind of a known playbook or known solutions or known answers. So for example, a building campaign by a church, it may be very complex, but is actually largely a series of technical tasks where there by and large are some known solutions and kind of a playbook and some steps for that. Adaptive leadership, by contrast, COVID and the pandemic would be an example of what became a global adaptive challenge, and for churches as well. So there's something where we've not been there before, or it's so complex because there's so many different factors, different perspectives, different maybe competing values in that, and just an unknown. And so those are adaptive challenges, and those are the types of cases and case studies that are featured in Uncharted Leadership. So for each case in the book, each chapter, there aren't easy answers or solutions. It's a tool to help you kind of walk through the case and think through. There's questions for each chapter. What is the situation? What's really happening here? What are the different perspectives? What's the information you wish you knew was true or knew about the situation? What are the different factors to consider? How might things be different if there was different things in the situation? And it's an opportunity for you to think through, how would I do things in that situation? What are some things I can apply to my own leadership and to my own context based on the principles? So there's a case presented, and then there's some questions for reflection. Then there's some commentary where I point out some of the main issues or some other things to consider. Then there's some additional questions saying, okay, if you know that, then what else would you need to think about here? And then there's an epilogue that says, here's how the case, again from real life, really ended up. And some of them resolve neatly. Most of them don't resolve neatly. Some of them, whether you think it was a good or bad outcome, depends on your perspective as you read the case, or what your perspective would be in the story. And so it's very much designed as a teaching tool to help you think through these things and then apply them to your own leadership context. I have over 30 years of ministry and leadership experience. I've done church ministry, youth ministry, camp, higher ed. I'm married to a pastor, so I've seen things from that angle. I've consulted with churches. I have master's from Denver Seminary in educational ministries and in administration, and then I got my doctorate from the Southern Baptist Theological Seminary in ministry leadership, studying the organizational culture of churches. So I get this world. This is my world. I've been immersed in this all my life as a churchgoer, as an attendee, as a consultant, as a coach, as a developer of leaders, an instructor in a variety of classrooms around the country, at colleges and seminaries, in conversations all the time. My heart and passion is to encourage and equip and develop ministry leaders for church and parachurch, for the kingdom. I hope my heart comes through in that book, and just my years of experience and these real life trench conversations that I get. I understand that world.